Do you want to see a Renault Midlum 150 lorry converted into a motorhome? Or find some inspiration to upgrade your garden to an outside space you and your family can enjoy? Stay tuned, we've got it all covered here. You're right everyone and welcome. My name's Joel from Average Joel's Joinery and this is the first ever edition of the Evolution Power Tools TV Tool Show. It's a hangout where tools are discussed and you, the user, get the opportunity to share with us your amazing builds and projects. Later on we've got an exclusive interview with award-winning DIY and home improvement vlogger Vicky from the YouTube channel The Carpenter's Daughter, where she'll be sharing with us her experiences on home renovation. But that's not all. Lee Price from Evolution Power Tools' new product development department will be here to provide some insight on how to get better blade life when cutting metal on your Mitre saw. So if that's of interest, stay with us for the handy tips and tricks for cutting different types of stock. You'll have no doubt by now seen that Evolution have launched a new family of disc cutters. The range is being headed up by this guy right here, the R300 DCT Plus, which infuses an electric powered stone saw with water-fed dust suppression. We're heading over now to a fairly cold morning in the northwest, where landscape gardener Tommy Cross gets his hands on with this saw during a transformation of a client's garden into their amazing family space.
My name's Tommy Cross, I'm a landscape gardener based up in Macclesfield in the northwest. You join me on a very glorious March day when we're about to do some work on our current project. As a landscape gardener, I'm outside, as I suppose most of you guys are, working with a client in order to kind of realise their dreams and turning their outdoor space into somewhere they can use all year round. This current project, our client's brief was to give them a garden that they could enjoy with their young family, but also to have a space, which is what that sorry mess is going to become. That space is going to become an outdoor room, so when it does inevitably rain, they've got somewhere to go and shelter in and still enjoy their outdoor space. So this is a pretty basic project by our standards, but nonetheless it creates a practical space for the client to enjoy. We've got an area of hard standing paving, all in sandstone here, and that meets an area of artificial lawn. This is going to be the sunny spot for the clients. We've got a new area of fencing in the background, and then we've also got our outbuilding, as well as an integrated lighting system, all of which operated by a remote control. To get to this point, we had to borrow the best part of 60 tons of material in through the garage, in through the house, and in here. All the materials that you see here, the harder materials, have been cut using the Evolution stone saw, the older version. And it was a great bit of kit, but the dust suppression element of it wasn't the best. And we've got the new upgraded version on site today, and I'm looking forward to getting hands-on with that and seeing the upgrades that the team at Evolution have made. Again, it's pretty much bread and butter work by our standards. We've got raised beds, but these add pockets of colour and planting space for the client without them spilling into the garden. We've carried that on down here to add a bit of detail to our raised sleeper beds, and we've topped those off with some oak sleepers laid flat just to give it a bit of an aesthetic and material contrast. And I'm glad we had the Mitre saws on hand. The Evolution Mitre saws really came into their own when we were cutting these oak timbers in order to achieve that neat mitre, because doing that by hand would have been blooming tough work. I'm going to do some more cutting now. We're going to try out the new Evolution stone saw on some of the harder materials for the extension. From a domestic installation standpoint, the fact that you can just plug this into a standard socket is a real asset. And now that Evolution have added that dust suppression with the water kit, means that you can cut safely, quickly and effectively without any of the disruption of that smoky mess and residue that you leave behind. Dare say I'll be using this to help complete the rest of the project, because very much in kit form here. A couple of weeks time, hopefully we'll have a roof above our head and the client will have their place ready to use come the summer months. Thanks for watching. If you want to find out any more about what we do as a business, it's www.myhomeground.co.uk or Homeground on all the socials, Insta, Facebook, Twitter, the lot. Have a look and you'll be able to find a whole review of what we're up to week by week on there.
Another amazing project there from Tommy Cross. If you've seen his stuff before, you won't be surprised by the quality at all. Those fence panels, I think, really sets the garden off nicely, adds a really nice feature point to it all. And those sleepers, I think it's a great touch, adding that 45-degree mitre to them. I've tried cutting railway sleepers in the past by hand, and I really wouldn't recommend it, so it's great to see such a clean cut on that wood. And those pavers, what a difference that's going to make to the overall look of the garden. I just can't wait to see the extension go up. If you want to check out the completed project or any of the other fantastic work that Tommy's doing, please check out My Home Ground on all social media channels, where you can also ask him his thoughts on using the R300 DCT Plus. And from landscaping to automotive renovation, we're taking a trip to sunny Suffolk where you can see this chop saw in use, the R355 CPS. We're going to be following trike builder Shaun Collins as he begins to realise his van life aspirations in the latest build.
Hi, my name is Shaun Collins. I run a YouTube channel called Adventures with Motive. I basically take junk from scrapyards and build really cool junk with it. I am currently in the process of building a motorised trike. I've also got a Renault Midlum 150 lorry that I'm converting into a motorhome, which I pretty much built from scratch. It first arrived in the front garden as just a bare backed vehicle. There was no box on the back, and I have since built the box up to what you will later see, which is the current project being featured on my channel. This dream actually spans right back to when I was about 9 years old, watching a film called Convoy. I've always been into lorries, but I've never had a lorry license. And the opportunity came to get this for about 1,500 quid, and I thought, well, why not? This is all grey silver bed liner. The slide out here comes out. We've got windows from a camper van recycled, a doorway from a refrigeration unit that's been recycled, horsebox window, the awning came off the side of a house. The ladder is actually a telescopic ladder. These runners here are the sliding units that you get in the side of a fire engine, the trays that come out, and they're heavy duty. This being the dining seat and food eating area here, that goes out about 1.5 to 2 foot. This is going to be the shower room. That's not completed yet. We've got a shower going there, toilet going here, and we've got a wardrobe and 2 sliding drawers going under, and that moves out to about 1.5 foot. Right, I pulled this out of the shed about 6 months ago. It was still in its packaging. I've been using this one cut wood, and I will confess that I used the metal blade to do a lot of the woodworking. The table that was made out of all that horsebox wood, that is that's all been cut on this particular machine. But the saw, it's quite an incredible little bit of kit for what it is. The shower room slide out that you saw in the van, all the woodwork in there has got to be cut, and this does cut particularly well. It leaves a very good edge on the wood. It doesn't splinter it to pieces. One thing that I will find particularly useful about this particular saw is I've got a bike rack to build that we spoke about at the back, and I've got to make up all new box steel framework, so this saw will particularly be handy for that. I mean, that is so smooth. I love it. I love that bit. It cut is so neat and tidy. There's no blistering, no splintering, sorry. And it is just, in a posh way of saying it, divine.
I think you'll agree that's absolutely amazing. I'm blown away by how the side of the van can just slide out to give you that much extra space. You've got a shower in there, somewhere to sleep, a kitchen. I just think it's really inspirational. It's one of those, I think I might be keeping an eye out for a van now to give it a go for myself. I couldn't never do it to Shaun's standards, but he's given me that little bit of an insight to what can be done. And I think it's fantastic as well, seeing what a difference swapping the blade can make on the saw. I'm pretty guilty of not always changing the blade. It's the kind of thing, put one on and leave it, and it gets me by. But if I want to do something a bit more fancy, I think I'm probably best to swap over to the wood blade. But I'm really looking forward to seeing it when it's all done, Shaun, and I can't wait to see it on the road. Keep your eyes peeled on the Adventures with Motives channel for more of Shaun's work and to see how that camper van shapes up over the summer. If any of you are also renovating your own motorhomes using Evolution tools, please share them with us on social media because we'd absolutely love to see them. Next up, it's the main event, where I'm joined by our guest maker. She provides easy home DIY renovation tutorials for beginners and intermediates, from decorating through to woodworking. She inspires people to become their own creative interior designer. It's YouTube's The Carpenter's daughter, Vicky Richmond. Vicky, thank you for joining me here at Evolution Power Tools. The first thing I've got to ask you, what gave you the inspiration to start your channel?
Well, me and my fiance, now husband, we'd been renting for a while, and we actually moved into the country. I'd changed jobs. So after, I think it was 2013, I kept looking on the property market thinking, gosh, they're going really quick. I convinced him to scrape a deposit together. So we found this house, and that's when I started learning how to do DIY. but it was the motivation to save money as well.
That's always going to be the main thing. I think if you can save money at any opportunity, you're going to jump at it. And I think you've inspired a lot of people to be able to do that for themselves with your YouTube channel, Carpenter's Daughter.
Yeah, I hope so.
But I mean, do you think that your parents have probably been your main driving force behind that?
I know that I've been able to see past bad interiors for quite a while, because we've gone into some dumps looking in and thought, oh, we'd change this, that and the other. And I've seen them do quick turnarounds over like 3 to 6 months. And they'll get a team of people as well. My dad would do most of the work. And it's always been impressive, although I've never had a desire to learn DIY until we moved into that property.
Is there anything in particular that you would say is a good starter project for people to like try their hands at?
The garden is probably a good place to start, because you can let it mature and get established. And that's something that I never did. I did it in reverse. I did it later on. And something that I did not do is do one room at a time and start small. But I like to get in the zone. I like to DIY with music. So I did exactly that. I went everywhere with a wallpaper stripper and I loved it. Yeah, it was a mess, but you've got to make a mess to make an improvement. So yeah, I would start small, really. Try and start in the garden and maybe do some even decking. That was quite simple. It might sound really scary, but even doing a patio with aggregate and sand, because while you're learning your techniques, if you've laid a slab wrong, you can lift it up and redo a patch and you'll save thousands of pounds. Although mortar is a different game, because I completely messed that one up. I laid a patio in front of our wooden garage doors, and one door opened one way, the other the opposite. I just got it in my head that both open the same way. So I thought, right, I just had to make a quick decision, rip it up and start again. And I had the time. So you do learn by your mistakes. Even just painting a room white can drastically change the interiors, and then you can start with a blank canvas and go from there.
I think you've proven with those kind of videos, the patio in particular, that by showing your mistakes, because a lot of people won't show the mistakes, they won't show that anything's gone wrong, everything's perfect first time, but by showing that little mistake and how you can fix it really does encourage people. But out of everything, is the one project that just went spot on for you?
That is really hard to answer. But the utility kitchen that I did, when you've done loads of little jobs, it's when you've done quite a few DIYs and you get to one and you put all of those little skills into one job and you think, oh, I'm getting somewhere. But yeah, when they come all together, it just excites me.
So we've gone from giving some house renovation tips to probably something a little bit smaller. You've recently done a Wendy house project, and I know you had to build it from the ground up. So was there anything that kind of got in the way of it? Was there any issues that cropped up?
I did the summer house with my dad, and what I find completely different is working on your own compared to with a professional, because when I'm working on my own, I go at my own pace and I learn from my own mistakes, and I'll probably learn the hard way. When I'm working with my dad, he's already got the muscle memory there and he's already got systems, so you're keeping at his pace. If you want to feel inferior, go and work with a professional, but it is really, really useful. And I've built, I think, 3 sheds now.
But have you got anything that you can kind of give us a little sneak peek on?
Well, I've just bought a narrowboat. My husband wants to live in it, and deep down I do, but we've just done this house and I've got tools, and I'd have to have a butty at the back of it and just like a little trailer floating along. I want to enjoy doing some projects, even just useful, handy woodwork projects like little caddies and stuff for the boat and spice racks. The other thing that I'm really looking forward to, but I don't know how certain it is yet, is that my parents are in the middle of getting planning permission for a property in their back garden. So I'm looking forward to the idea of us building a house from scratch together. Being alongside someone who's done it all before is going to be very, very calming. You need a helping hand for some projects, I think.
I can imagine. It all sounds really exciting though. So you've got the boat and possibly a new house build as well.
Yes,
I think it's going to be one to watch out for.
Yeah.
I just want to say...
Where am I going to live? house, boat.
You'll be able to pick and choose where you want to go from now on. But thank you ever so much for coming in, Vicky. Really appreciate it. It's been great talking to you. And don't forget, if you want to check out Vicky's stuff, make sure you search for The Carpenter's Daughter on all social media channels, because she shares all the projects everywhere basically. So check her out because she does fantastic stuff and you're just a huge inspiration.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. Now, there's certainly no point in owning a great tool if you don't have a great blade to put on it. Cutting metal on a mitre saw is still met with apprehension by some, and there is certainly a correct method to cut each type of stock to ensure you get the most out of your blade life. Evolution's very own Lee Price is here to provide the solution.
Thanks, Joe. So, today we're going to take a look at increasing your blade life when cutting mild steel stock with your Evolution sliding miter saw. So let's dive right in. Now, one tip to remember for safety's sake is to remove the dust bag off your saw before you're cutting metal. If there's any sawdust in here, you might be sending hot chips of steel into the dust bag. You know, safety's first. You don't want to start a fire or anything. We'll take the dust bag off before we cut steel. We use angle iron for all kinds of metal work, so we'll show you how to cut this in the optimum blade life way. What a lot of people do with angle iron, because it's flat on two sides, is they'll just put it on the saw like this. Just flat on the table and flat against the fence. Now, to get the best blade life, this is the right way to do it. I can't wait to read the comments. But again, with these teeth, what you want to do is you want to always enter on the corner, and you always want to have the teeth working at a downward angle. So what you do is you clamp this into your saw in this sort of pyramid orientation, and then you can bring your saw straight down on there. This clamps right onto the peak of the angle iron. So this is one of the great advantages of the Evolution saws, is that versatile piece here. With this ready to go, let's make a cut and see how we do. Well, that was easy. This is a nice flat piece, sharp edge, flat, no burrs. It's a great cut. Okay, up next, check this out. Massive piece of rectangular tube. This is 120 by 60, and that's like 4 millimeters wall thickness. This is a serious piece of metal. So, we'll put it here on the broad end down. We'll get this clamped up here. So what we'll do is we'll pull our saw back a little bit. We're aiming for this corner. That's where we're going to start our cut. We're going to cut downwards to get through the vertical walls, and then we slide forwards to get through the horizontal parts. So I'll get started. Nice, it's cool to the touch. You got a nice flat bit, no burrs to worry about. You don't need to do any extra finishing. If you're gonna weld this, you can get started right away. Again, that's the great advantage of these Evolution saws. Look at that, that's a huge piece of tubing on this miter saw. Go figure, right? So when your workpiece is cut in the correct position and clamped securely, cutting mild steel stock with your multi-material tungsten carbide blades on these miter saws will give you both a cleaner and a quicker cut than any of those traditional abrasive saws. You'll get a much longer blade life too. I hope these tips have been useful for you guys. That's it for me, and now we're going back over to Joe in the studio.
Some great tips there from Lee, and I'd just like to mention off my own kind of experience using these saws. When I first started using them, I just always cut wood with them. It's what I do mostly day to day. But when a project would come up where I needed to cut metal, it was a lifesaver knowing I didn't have to go out and get a completely different range of tools just to cut for one project. I was making a coffee table, I needed some square box steel cutting for the legs. Didn't have to get nothing new, I could cut it on my mitre saw. When I very first did it, it felt wrong. I'm cutting metal on a saw that usually cuts wood, but of course it flies through it, and it's a godsend. Anytime I'm doing anything with metal now, I need to cut down bolts, cut down some long threaded rod. It's there for me whenever I need it, and it opens up a lot of project opportunities. I can work with metal at ease and at my own leisure. Next time, Lee will be providing an insight into using the R185 CCSX Plus track saw for optimum use, so be sure to check that one out later in the year. There's always a great variety of stunning projects that you share, and the team at Evolution love to see what you've all been up to using the tools. Here are some of the most recent picks that you've all been submitting. First off, we've got Chris Hogarth from Barnsley, who fabricated this awesome steel gate using the Evolution chop saw. Looking solid, that Chris. A submission all the way from Poland next, as Tomasz Hub crafted this bed for his son using the trusty R255 MTS. Thank you for sharing it with us. On the coast in Bournemouth, we get a look at Ben Daniel's workshop. The mitre saw is taking pride of place there, Ben, I can see. It's over to North Yorkshire now, as Chris from Driffield shares with us his impressive industrial dining room table and chairs. The mild steel frame cut to size with the old Evo Saw 355. I think it's Sunday dinner at yours this week, Chris. Really keep it up, you lot. If you'd like the chance to have your work shared on the next episode and across Evolution Power Tools social media, just simply upload your work and tag Evolution Power Tools on all of the socials. There's £250 store credit at the Evolution UK web store to spend for our favourite project submissions, so do keep sharing. If you've got an interesting project to share, or you work on site, or you're just doing a bit of upcycling and you'd like the opportunity to feature on a future episode, drop us an email to the one on screen now and a member of the team will get in touch. Next time round, we'll be taking a trip to East Sussex to visit an avid DIYer making his own furniture, and we'll also be covering a preview of this year's Makers Central event at the NEC, plus plenty more exclusive content and updates. Thank you all for staying with me. I really hope that you enjoyed the show. That's it from me. See you on the next one.